We're on 5-7, and we're talking about solving inequalities. Okay, when you see the word solving in algebra, you are thinking of finding the value of a variable. Okay, that's what you're doing. Whether it's inequalities or equations, you want to find, all right, what's that variable's value? And when you're talking about inequalities, what are we referring to? Raise your hand. What's inequalities? I know what equations are. They have to have equal signs. But what are inequalities?
Inequality is a whole number, integer, or rational number.
Oh, you're thinking irrational numbers. But I'm talking about inequalities. Inequalities. They have what other symbols instead of the equal sign? They have the
Greater than,
less than, and then greater than, and then less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And technically, the not equal to sign is also an inequality. Well, let's go ahead and start with our first example. And you're going to find out that these are worked out, at least the first part, is just like an equation. Okay, a plus 3/8 is greater than 2. A plus 3/8 is greater than 2. All right, so I want to find what's the value of A. So how do I do that? This is a review of yesterday. It's just like you deal with an equation. Callie?
You should subtract it
Good, you do it from both sides here. So we're going to subtract from both sides. And what are you left with here on the left? A, which is what we want, because that's going to give us what the value of A is. And then we still have our greater than symbol. And here we're subtracting these two together. But can you just do like 2 minus 3 and get the answer? No. You need a common denominator. But you're like, this one doesn't even have a denominator. Or does it? Caroline? Yeah, it's over 1. So what's the LCD of these two fractions? 8. So the LCD is 8. So do I have to change this bottom fraction? Nope. But I do have to change that one by multiplying it by what over what? John?
8 over 8.
8 over 8 gives me my 16/8. And then I have minus my 3/8. Common denominators are there. So what's 16/8 minus 3/8? 13/8, which is my answer. Nice.
No.
Oh, what do I get?
1 and 5/8.
Yeah, change it to its mixed number form. So I get A is greater than 1 and 5/8. 1 and 5/8. Okay? Now, what do they want me to do in example 1? It says solve each inequality and then? Graph it. Okay, I need to graph it. Because I'm going to ask this question, see if you guys can get it. How many solutions are there? So they wanted me to solve for this inequality, solve for A. How many solutions are there? Michael? Infinite numbers. Wait, I thought it's 1 and 5/8. That is where you start. But that is not the only answer. So, questions here. Yes, sir.
Could you take in 2? So this is what I thought you could you take in 2 and make it 1 and 8 over 8?
Yeah, you could do 1 and 8 over 8.
And then you would subtract 3/8, and then you would have gotten the exact same answer.
Yeah, and that's that whole renaming process, right? Instead of saying 2, you could say 1 and 8/8, and then subtract it. Yeah, good. And we'll go through that process again. Yes, sir.
When we're graphing, you know how we have to put 1 on one side and 1 on the other? Are you going to make us do it to like the nearest 8 or the nearest whole number?
Great question. And this is a good part of this lesson I appreciate. All right, let's go to the graphing, and I think this will answer your question. So I have to make a number line here, so I'll go ahead and start that up. And I do want you to put a value before and after, but I want you to give me the integer before and after. So what's the integer before 1 and 5/8? It's 1. What's the integer after 1 and 5/8? 2. And what I want you to do now is I want you to estimate where would 1 and 5/8 go. So how about this as a class? I'm going to move my marker, and you guys tell me to stop where you think 1 and 5/8 approximately would be. So I'll start here at 1.
Stop.
Very nice. So I do have my little tick mark there. I'm going to put 1 5/8. And then what kind of circle should go on 1 5/8? An open circle. And how do you know that? How do you know it's open? Because, oh yeah, we haven't talked about this in a while. Open or closed? One or the other?
Because it's not like one of the greater than equal to.
Yeah, it doesn't say equal to. It just says it's greater than 1 5/8. And then which way should that arrow go? Which way should that ray go or line go, we call it? John?
If the variable is like on the left, then we can just go whatever the sign is.
Yeah, if your variable is here on the left, where is it pointing to? The right. So you just draw that arrowhead to the right. Okay? And actually, I'm going to make this darker here because I want to emphasize that it's all these numbers here. So would 2 technically be a solution?
Yes.
Would 2.5 be a solution?
Yes.
Would 10.35 be a solution?
Yes.
Yes, any number that's after 1 5/8. Okay, yes ma'am.
But if you did tick marks, wouldn't you do like 8 tick marks?
Yeah, if you want, and I'm not going to make you go through that whole process, but yeah, you can have your half like that, and then you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you can do that, but I'm not requiring you. I want you to be able to understand. All right, 1 5/8. Which one, by the way, is it closest to, 1 or 2? It's about 2. You could say it's a little less than 2, right? And so you understand what that number is a little bit better. All right, let's go to B on the same example. And this time we have decimals. Good questions, guys. I think all of these have been really good questions. 14.92 plus R is greater than or equal to 7.65. All right, and if you're looking at, I see the variable, but people get tripped up with that variable. Some people like, man, I got to have that variable first. Can I write it first?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're really picky and you want that, that's okay. Because of which property? Commutative, which says the order of addends does not affect the sum. All right, so what do I do to both sides here? Yes, ma'am.
Subtract 14.92.
Now, why do I subtract 14.92? Why shouldn't I just subtract 7.65?
Because the number closest to the variable you would subtract it.
Okay,
And
you look at the variable first. And what's happening to the variable? You're adding 14.92, so you want to undo that. So yeah, we'll subtract 14.92 from both sides. And what do you have to do when you're subtracting decimal numbers? You must align the decimals. Okay, so let's see here where we're at. I get R is greater than or equal to. Now, before you start working this out, what do you guys what red flag came up and you're like, Marissa? Okay, your answer is going to be negative. We do understand that. But then, do I work it out just the way it's written up there? Really, why not? I mean, isn't 5 minus 2, 3, and then just borrow? I can work that out. Max?
Or occasionally, they make both the numbers positive, or you just switch the numbers around.
Oh, like this? Oh. Because remember, when you're doing this subtraction, we call it an algorithm, you can't have the smaller number up top. You got to put the bigger number up top. And then your answer is still going to be negative. Right. So here we're going to borrow. And then you can borrow that. It's negative 7.27. Now, is that different from 3, and then 7, and then 2, and I don't even know what you'd get here. I guess you'd get negative 1. Isn't that a little bit different than what we got?
Yes.
Yes. Are they the same number? No. So you got to make sure you do it the right way. All right, here's my answer, at least partially. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw. My lines have been struggling today. I'm going to draw that a little bit better. Okay, so I have my number line, and I want to draw a number before and after that are integers. So integral numbers. So I have my 2 little tick marks. What number comes before negative 7.27?
8.
It's that's a tricky one. Negative 7.27. So what would go to the left of negative 7.27 as an integer? Negative 8. That's tricky, guys, with the negatives, but I want you to think about them. And then what number would come after negative 7.27? Negative 7. right? Because this is a rational number, but the two integers it fits in between is -8 and -7. -6 would be there, also come after, but not the first integer after. Does this make sense? So be careful with it, especially those negatives. Or you can think of it like this. If this were positive, what's the integer before 7.27? 7. What's the integer after 7.27? 8. But now it's reversed because of the negatives. All right, you guys tell me when to stop. Please be careful here, because this is tricky. -7.27. All right, ready?
Stop.
Okay, so like,
Too far, guys.
let's just go like right here. And I'm not gonna get my ruler. Well, should I get my ruler? No, not gonna get my ruler. Just approximate it. Which -7.27, isn't that about -7 1/4?
Yes.
So it's about 1/4 of the way
That's
from
like
here to here.
2/3.
I would say it's like, yeah, 1/3 away, but that's okay. And that's close. It's pretty close. What kind of circle should go on -7.27? Why, Jensen? You said it pretty definitively. Why closed? Yeah, it has that equal to. It's a closed circle. And then which way should that arrowhead go? Left or right? Left or right?
Right.
Right, because the variable's on the left, which means you could just follow that arrowhead.
So do we do that number line when it's like a decimal number?
Decimal and a mixed number or fraction. So basically this lesson you're doing that. I want you to get these numbers, put this number where it belongs approximately, and then same thing, close open circle, arrow going a certain direction. Do you guys understand this? Okay. Let's do I want you guys to do number 4 on page 253. Number 4 on page 253. So I want you to try that on your own. I want a number line solution to show me all the numbers that fit. What's your LCD? 12. That's the smallest number that both of them fit into. So do I have to change 7/12? Nope. But I do have to change 3/4 into 2 and 9. Yeah, this becomes 2 and 9/12. So I'll put here 9/12. All right. Can I add 7/12 and 9/12? Yep. I get 16/12. And then 0 plus 2 is? Yes.
No.
Oh.
Wait, yes.
Oh.
Do you simplify it?
Yes, always simplify them. So what's wrong with mine? 2 things wrong. Mackenzie?
Remember, it's still a mixed number right now, but the numerator is bigger than the denominator.
So it's improper.
So it's improper fraction, and it also needs to be.
So it has to be reduced or simplified. All right, so go ahead and do that. And you should get n is greater than or equal to... John?
86? Wait, are we doing?
Oh, I'm just going all the way to the end answer. Yeah.
You're going to. I got it.
I want to see what you guys got. Okay, Tristan?
I got 3 1/3.
3 1/3. Is that what you guys got? Okay, so how did we do that? Some of you did. You reduce this and it becomes 4/3. 2 4/3. But then what is 4/3? 1 1/3. And so what's 1 1/3 plus 2? 3 1/3. Okay, so you can do it that way. There are other ways. All right, and then the number line. I need somebody to help me out with the number before. What would it be?
3.
The integer before the first integer, I should say, before 3 1/3.
3.
3. What's the first integer after 3 1/3? 4. And go ahead and tell me when to stop.
Stop. Go with it.
All right.
Stop.
There you go. I'll stop right here. So this would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So yeah, here we go. What kind of circle? Where does the line go? All right, guys get that? All right, I'm not going to help you out one bit on this one. This one is tough. It's number 5.
Yes.
Number 5. All right, we're distracting. So number 5, please. I'll write the poem up. And what I want you to do is when you're done and the person sitting next to you is done, and you two back there, Marissa and Tristan, when you guys are done, check each other. See how you did. And remember, if your answer is a mixed number that's in the form blank and negative blanks, negative fraction, that's something a little bit off. You don't have a whole number and a negative fraction as a mixed number. So be careful with that. In case of that happening, you probably should borrow. Talk to each other. You're allowed to talk. What'd I get? What'd you get? Your line's wrong. No, mine is wrong. No, both of us are wrong. No, we're both right. I'm sorry, I thought it got taken care of. Oh. All right, somebody help me out with the graph. What's the integer right before 2 and 23/30ths? 2. What's the integer right after? 3. All right, 2 and 3. And then tell me when to stop. This one's a little bit tougher because it's more precise, but let's see how you do.
Stop.
All right, what kind of circle? Line going to the? Left. Left.
Can you explain when the line goes to the left?
Yes. You see how it says x is less than or equal to?
Yeah.
So what are the numbers that are less than 2? It'd be to the left.
Yeah, and it's the very
All right, here's the ultimate, hardest, most difficult.
Yes. Hardest.
Decimal problem. It's not too bad. Can I say something here? If you guys are paying attention, it might be an encouragement to you. Do you remember how I think it was only like 2 lessons ago, or 2 days ago, I should say, where I first introduced you, or for some of you, reintroduced you to borrowing, and some of you are like, borrowing, ugh. But some of you, I heard borrowing a lot. I was listening to you guys. Oh, you borrowed. Oh, you didn't borrow. Oh, you borrowed, but you really didn't. So I heard these comments, and some of you are getting more comfortable with borrowing. And that's good because it's easier to subtract when you have a bigger number minus a small number. But you guys are getting better as you keep practicing, so keep that up. All right, number 8. Go ahead and do that one, number 8. So try it out, see what you get.
That's not one that you did.
And this time, when you check your neighbor, same person you checked last time, if you have different answers, you need to ask, what did I do wrong, or what did I do right? Like if you're confident, like this is what you need to do. If you're not so confident, what did you do? So you can ask or answer a question. So once you're both done, look at each other and see what you got. This here. Yeah. It's got to be negative integers.
4 and 2, because up here they.
4 and 3.
But up here we did. Oh, remember?
No, we did 8 and 7. We should have done 8 and 7. I had 7 up here. I think everyone said 6, but 7. All right, how many got n is greater than negative 3.5? Negative 3.5.
That looks like a cat.
Okay, here's the tough part about the graph. What's the integer right before negative 3.5? Before negative 3.5? Marissa? Sorry, and whenever I say before, think to the left. What number's to the left of it? All right? And then which one's greater than or to the right of? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Pause them. Okay. Thank you. So here we have our negative 4 and our negative 3. And thankfully, it's a nice, easy one. It's right in the middle as best you can. I'm not going to measure it. What kind of circle? Close. Arrow going to the right. All right. Raise your hand if you got that. Raise your hand if you got this one here. Oh, okay, good. Who got this one here? Okay, if you did not get it, do you have a question? This is the time. More than happy. Yes, ma'am.
For the subtracting, 4 minus, like when you had the bar, 4 minus 3 is...
So your bar here, you got 6, 12, 5, and then...
Oh, why did I put 4?
Not sure.
Okay.
Okay. I'll wait till you guys are ready.
Pretty sure it's just a car. Wait, not like that.
So I think Jack might want to stay during break. Okay. Your homework tonight is, 11 through 25 on page 253. You have time, guys. Get it done.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome, John.